Hey everybody, we're the Super Monkey Fighters, back here for more What Would You Change? Getting into the holiday spirit, if we haven't already been there for a while. Doing some Christmas movies. This time around it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Juliette Lewis, Johnny Galecki, John Randolph, Diane Ladd, E.G. Marshall, Doris Roberts, Randy Quaid, Miriam Flynn, and there's a few other people. I want to say that... Oh yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in it. Nicholas Guest. I want to say that it's Bill Murray's brother. Yep, Brian Doyle-Murray. He plays the boss. So it was directed by Jeremy Chechik and written by John Hughes. If you don't know this one's a classic for me and my family. We watch it a dozen times every year. But it is the Griswold family. They plan for a big family Christmas. Predictably, it turns into a big disaster. This is one of the series of National Lampoon's vacation movies. What'd you guys think?
This is actually the first time I've seen it. And I don't know how I feel about it. The dad, Chevy Chase, he's a really awkward character, and I don't actually like him. He's stupid, and just a lot of things that he like. Okay, so in the beginning, where they're going for a tree, well, he doesn't plan ahead to have a chainsaw or a saw or anything like that. Well, how did he get the tree out of the ground then? He wouldn't have had a shovel. So how did he get? I know.
You're thinking too much about a stupid comedy.
And that's my problem is for you guys, you probably think, oh, it's a hilarious, stupid comedy. But I am overthinking it because I am thinking about a lot of stupid things that this character is getting into. Like when he's unfurling the tree in the family area and he breaks a window. That's something that I had an issue with this film is that a lot of accidents are happening. And he survives by stupid luck, where in any other situation, something's going to happen. And I just am not a fan of his character. I don't like that things are happening in the house. Like the house is basically getting destroyed and no one makes a comment about it. It just cuts to the next scene and everyone's fine and everything's okay. And yeah. I don't like that. I just had a lot of problems with it. That's my general consensus is I just had a lot of problems with it, which is surprising because usually I'm usually the one that's like, yeah, it's okay movie. You should watch it. Whereas this one, I'm just kind of like, I don't watch it once, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it any more than the once to get your own opinion. If we want to get very nice and very happy about it, the thing that I did like is I did like kind of like the family representation where I imagine it's Christmas Eve that it happens, but he's reading a story and the family's all around each other and it's like a nice holiday moment. I did like that. It seemed kind of a very genuine family moment, as well as what tends to happen around the holidays with family where everything gets chaotic, everything gets stressful, and it kind of portrays that a little bit. So I did enjoy that. But I know that the one thing that I would definitely change, and it would change the movie itself because I'm overthinking it, but too many things go wrong at once that it took me out of the movie. Because it didn't seem very likely that, oh, we're gonna go and get a tree. Well, we don't have a saw, so I guess we're gonna dig it up. Oh, we're gonna break windows, and as we're unfurling the tree, and the tree doesn't fit in our house. Oh, next scene. Oh, he's gonna get locked in the attic, and then when someone opens up the attic, he'll fall through, and next scene, he's fine. There's just so many. Oh, then the tree gets lit on fire. That's another scene where it's just there's step after step after step after step of so many things going wrong. And I get that it's supposed to be a comedy, but I want some realism. I
think you're asking too much from a National Lampoon's movie.
I clearly, but that's this is coming from someone who hasn't seen any of them, so that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah. Anyway, Nugget, what do you think?
So I have seen this multiple times. It kind of is somewhat of a staple, I guess, or I don't know if I'd call it a staple, but I've seen it a number of times growing up because it was generally on TV around the holidays, and so it was just an easy thing to have playing. So I probably have a little bit of bias because of that. But it's been a while since I've seen it, so rewatching it was I think puts it a little bit into a different perspective. But so if we want to go with my likes first, I think they did do a pretty good job of building up Clark's character, Chevy Chase's character, and kind of how he is, how he behaves. The things I wrote down is just the thing that stood out to me now is his crazy eyes. I don't think I noticed that as much as a kid, but I totally notice it now.
Yeah,
it's a little off-putting. But they really drilled that he was like trying to be a family man, but at the same time he's ungrounded and unrealistic with most of the things he does. But he's a dreamer at the same time.
Is that possible?
So I think they did a good job of portraying that in his character, which was a good job. And you can't talk about this movie without talking about the house light scene. That's an iconic thing, whether, at least to me it is. Usually when you compare people's houses and people are over the top, like that's the Griswold's house. That's the reference you make, because it is just crazy, over the top, and just out there. And so that's a big part of the movie, or at least a big part for me. And Cousin Eddie's character is hilarious. Like, to me, I don't care how you slice it. Like, I would say he's the number 2 leading character of the film. And without him, the film would be probably pretty terrible.
You're probably the one you identify with the most. You personally.
Maybe. On some level.
On some level.
But I don't know, it's just funny, and it just his attitude, and I think they do a good job of kind of setting kind of who he is. That he just doesn't, whether he doesn't get it, which is what they really try and make it out to be, but it's just his antics and the way he just behaves and handles himself is just funny, because he just does his own thing, right? He doesn't care. He has no shame.
It's almost as if he's having a conversation, his own conversation with somebody else, and he's not actually part of the conversation most of the time. It's everybody else is talking and he's doing his own little thing as well. So
yeah. And the way I try to kind of sum this film up is, to me, it seems, or it tries to be, slapstick comedy while it's straddling the line of going over the top, or being too much. There's obviously some that are definitely pretty obvious, but it's not consistent throughout the entire movie, that it's just like, oh, yep, there it is again. Ha ha ha. And so I think it straddles that line where sometimes it's a little too much, but sometimes it's just quite under the line. And I think it does a good job of kind of writing that throughout without just making you feel like you're just like, yeah, this is just, it's like there really is nothing here other than slapstick comedy. So
then dislikes, because you already said you were kind of biased. So
yeah, so
dislike.
Yeah, the neighbors, the characters of the neighbors, like they were terrible. Like I don't feel like they fit in anywhere. Like they were just there to kind of just be annoyed.
They felt kind of like a comic relief in a way.
Yeah.
They were there for just a couple of jokes, and that's the only reason that they existed.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And I didn't really feel like it really added that much. It more like
If they
took you
weren't
out
part
of
of-
the movie.
Yeah.
To me, than
if
anything.
they weren't there, I think the movie would have been the same if they were gone.
Yeah.
So.
So I think that was kind of one thing, because they keep coming back, right? And they don't really get involved directly outside of, or they don't involve themselves with the characters of the Griswolds household outside of just like a couple of brief interactions. It's usually them just being annoyed by them, and it's like I didn't really find that interesting. So I thought the ending was kind of a little unbelievable, with the boss guy just being like
changing his mind.
I didn't realize not giving everybody a vote bonus would affect people.
Yeah, I don't know if it was trying
totally...
to like be a play on Scrooge, the story of Scrooge or something, and it was just like, oh yeah, I guess, oh shucks, I guess I'll do that because that's the right thing to do. That just seemed a little too easy.
It was, well, we got to wrap this thing up. Let's just start tying the bow together in a way, and we're done.
Yeah, and that's
like,
what it felt
quickly.
That's what it felt like. Yeah. So I didn't really care for that. They could have maybe put a little more effort into how that all played out, and maybe changed it around a little bit. And one thing that really stood out to me was the outside shots of the house versus the interior shots. The interior shots, the house seemed so much bigger than the exterior shot. And it just like didn't work well with my brain. And like they had a very large house inside, but then like you look outside and it's like, it's not that big. So it just didn't fit for me.
So then how would you change it? Or something that you would change? So
I would either get rid of the neighbors or do something better, integrate them somehow more. And then the ending, I would definitely put a little more effort into
in making a worthwhile ending.
Yeah. Like not just like because I feel like they did a pretty good job going throughout the entire movie, or at least it was consistent enough that like it could keep your attention. And then it's like, this is the ending. Okay. All right. Let's wrap it up and go home. And it's a little bit of a letdown. So I would put a little extra effort into that. Now, one other kind of thing I just wrote down is I felt like they didn't really put a lot of work into developing all of the characters. Like I said, it was pretty much just Clark's characters, and Eddie, for the most part, is really where they put their effort. Most of the other characters were kind of just caricatures, just kind of filling that part of the family, which, I mean, with that many people in a house, like, it's kind of what you expect. And so I think it was okay for the movie. But yeah, the neighbors just didn't work.
Loki, what are your likes?
So for me, because I don't really have much to say about this, but this is the movie kind of what we always watched every year. So my dad recorded this when it was on TV, took the time to, stop and start and miss the commercial breaks. That's how
dedicated
the level of effort he put into it. I believe. I could be wrong on that. But so we had an old VHS copy, but then when DVD came out, rather than years after it had been out, rather than actually get it on DVD, my dad asked me to take his old VHS copy, record it off a TV, and burn it to a DVD. So we've had this low quality old version just kind of kicking around for years. That's just a thing that we used to watch every Christmas season. It was just the thing that happened. So as for my likes and dislikes, I don't really like this movie. I don't really dislike this movie. It just kind of is. I think as a kid, I really got a kick out of it. I thought it was funny because it was slapstick and it was goofy and all those kinds of things. Watching it this time, nothing stood out to me. I was bored most of the time watching it. Probably because I just knew everything that was going to happen. There were a few things that I kind of chuckled at. Some of the jokes that still landed. When Clark first meets his boss in the hallway, and all of the lackeys are walking away, and he's like, "You can kiss his ass, and you kiss his ass, and kiss his ass." And as he's going through the list, and he gets to the last guy, and he's like, "And happy Hanukkah." Like, some of those jokes I think still kind of hit. The Cousin Eddie stuff is always good. But you just get a crazy guy to be a crazy guy, and that's entertaining. But I don't know. It just, this time around, was just not anything for me. It wasn't a big nostalgia hit like some of the stuff from my youth. This was just oh right, this exists kind of a thing. So I did think kind of the same thing with the neighbors. Like, wow, it just kind of clicked this time around, where I was like, yeah, if they weren't here, there would be.
It wouldn't change the movie.
There would be no difference, kind of a thing. Like, when they kick the lights on and they, freak out and fall down the stairs and all that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, that's about the only thing that would make sense. Like, I think it does maybe add a little bit to that scene, but outside of that, it's just, there's a weird, so when he comes back, they come back with the tree, like, it's a weird interaction between them. Like, that's kind of their introduction, where they're giving him flack and he's got the chainsaw and he's going to, cut off the stump and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're like, where are you going to put that? And he's like, bend over and I'll show you.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know how to take that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it was directed, because when the guy neighbor makes a comment, he's like, oh, I wasn't talking to you. And it's just like, what? You're talking to the wife?
It was a really, like, out of place. Like, it establishes the confrontational relationship that they have, but for Clark, it didn't quite fit.
Yeah.
Like, it was too in your face confident and less passive aggressive, which is kind of what he had been up to that point and continued to be. His neighbors were being a jerk, and so he was a jerk back. Like, it was, I think that's a one of the funnier jokes as well, but it just doesn't fit. It seems kind of weird. There's nothing, like I said, nothing really good or bad about this either way. This isn't a movie I'd recommend as like, hey, if you're studying film and you really want to learn about movies and all those kinds of things, this is definitely one you should watch. I don't think that's the case, but I don't think I would necessarily really change anything. Like, don't go into this movie thinking it's going to be a life changer. Like, it's the slapstick, goofy, stupid comedy that it's there, and then that's it. So, don't know how well it would hold up over time, which is, I guess, kind of how I feel with a lot of the older movies that we've watched, like all the horror movies that we watched are like, this is really just bad and dumb. So that's kind of my thoughts on this one was, I do think that this was a much more cohesive and well put together story than some of those ones. Especially like the Friday the 13th just seemed really,
how dare you?
All over the place.
Thrown together. Like,
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
There actually was a flow of events that made
someone's trying to start a
some
fight.
logical
Don't go
sense,
there.
but it's still, like, not good. It's just a whatever kind of movie. So I think it'll fade away, and that'll be that. It's not going to be like all the other classic Christmas ones. I think this one will be one of the first ones to go. Like, Christmas Story will stay around, and it's funny too with a lot of these ones because growing up, this one was always on TV. Nugget, you said that, and my dad recorded it on TV, that kind of stuff. A lot of those movies that hit TV hit that because they weren't that successful, and so they were cheap. The rights to them were cheap, and that's exactly what It's a Wonderful Life was. Like, that's why it was a big Christmas movie, is because it was cheap to put on TV. The rights were not. It was inexpensive to get, and so I think that's why it became kind of the cult classic, or the holiday classic, is because of that. So I think that's the same with this. I think it's the same with a lot of those classic TV movies, I think those kinds of things. So, well, that's going to be, like I said, probably a quicker one. So we just don't edit anything, and then we might get a normal sized one. But yeah, let us know what you guys think of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. How does it stack up among the other National Lampoon movies? How does it stack up against Christmas movies? Are we too bitter and cynical in our old age? It's that.
And that it's still your favorite movie in the whole world, and you will now forever wait to murder us because, let's be honest, we're only here to trash movies.
Yes, that's all we've ever done.
Ever.
Is that. So anyway, leave all those comments down below and like, comment, subscribe, share, all those fun things. And we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.